Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. It's November 25th, 2016. I'm your host, Owen Shroyer. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I hope that everybody had a great Thanksgiving, enjoyed plenty of good food, remembered everything that they have to be thankful for here in this great country of America and on this great planet Earth. I hope that there weren't too many feuds at dinner over politics. Who knows, maybe you even find some common ground with those relatives that you were feuding over last Thanksgiving. I know that myself, I did a little gloating because I accurately predicted that Trump would win just a year ago. I hope that you have taken advantage of our Black Friday specials that are going on right now at InfoWarsStore.com. The new Brain Force Plus. More pills, more powerful pills. Brain Force, one of the favorite products of our listeners at InfoWarsStore.com, and there's plenty more where that came from. There's also more news. Be sure to stick around on the other side.
I want to thank the listeners and viewers of InfoWars. We've changed the world. Even mainstream media admits that we're bigger than CNN. We're as big as Fox. We're bigger than the BBC, on Quantcast, you name it. I want to thank you all for your support. And on this Thanksgiving and this Black Friday that's coming up, we're going to extend free shipping store-wide to people specifically that have the promo code FREE. Some of the specials are as high as 50% on incredibly high-quality products like Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver. That's 50% off and free shipping. That is a lost leader at InfoWarsStore.com. Trump is My President shirt is about to sell out. It's limited edition. It is for sale at cost, $9.95, shipping included. All you have to do is put in promo code FREE at checkout to get free shipping on top of discounts up to 50% off store-wide at InfoWarsStore.com. You can also call toll-free, 888-253-3139. But for myself, the InfoWars family, and everybody else in this fight, I want to salute and thank all of you for your support. Whatever you do, keep spreading the articles, the videos to everybody you know. It is absolutely devastating the globalists because we're on the march and the frickin' empire is on the run.
Well, ever since the WikiLeaks emails showed spirit cookings related to the Podesta brothers, the hashtag Pizzagate has also been trending when it was discovered that they were using strange code languages within these emails. Now, a lot of people have been talking about this. It's been huge on social media. And I just want to have this caveat here before I bring on Joe and Maggie to talk about Pizzagate and everything about it. Now, a lot of people have been begging us to draw more attention to this, and for a lot of people, Pizzagate is what has started their path down the rabbit hole. So they're freaking out. They think this is the worst thing on the planet, and I'm not saying it's not or it couldn't be. I'm just saying there are a lot of other big things going on that InfoWars has to focus and report on. We cannot just divert all of our time to this. So I'm sorry if you aren't satisfied with our coverage, but here's the problem. We're going to come on here. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to cover all of it, and it still won't satisfy people because I cannot tell you what happened to Maddie McCann the night she was abducted. I cannot tell you whether John and Tony Podesta were in Portugal with their friend Sir Clement that night she was abducted. I cannot tell you if James Alphonsus is running a child pedophilia ring. I cannot go into the basement of Comet Pizza and raid it and search around, okay? I can't do any of that. We can come on here and we can talk about all the alleged activity. We can talk about all the scathing stuff that we found via WikiLeaks, FEC, and all the connections that people out there have made. But I still cannot satisfy you on those grounds. So we're going to report on this. We're going to talk all about it. And I don't know what the answer is as far as what we do next, guys. But I don't know. I feel like we need to provide that caveat because people are they're so upset by this. The ties are so deep. It's so weird. And yet there seems to be nothing being done. Joe Biggs.
Well, you know, a lot of it is speculation. A lot of it is if you look at something hard enough, you're going to see what it is you want to see at the end of the day. When you've made so many connections to something, you're going to end up making more connections and more connections and more connections. It's just like that movie with Jim Carrey, the number 13, I think it is, where 13 is tied to all these things and it just spirals out of control. And 1 + 3 is this and this and that, and it goes and goes. But what we can tell you, for one, that the Clintons have been involved with Jeffrey Epstein. We do know that. That is a fact. We know that spirit cooking is a pretty screwed up thing that John Podesta and many other celebrities have been involved in. We do know that Anthony Weiner, the husband of Huma Abedin, Clinton's closest aide, was sexing young women who were underage. We know that Comet Ping Pong Pizza is owned by a guy who used to date the guy for Media Matters, David Brock.
Right.
So, there are some things out there that are interesting that could, with that being said, to start this off, maybe there are some things going on. Not saying that pedophile rings don't exist. I'm sure that they are. But right now, everything is very alleged. But what we can do is talk about, what do we do now? There's Podesta emails right now. A Podesta email from WikiLeaks says still in torture chamber. That's kind of weird. What does that mean? The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it's a map that seems pizza related. Now, there are different meanings for map, and there's different meanings for handkerchief. Apparently, if you go look up handkerchief code, that's an actual thing where gay men use these different colors to break down what it is they're looking for. BDSM, things that I can't really mention on here, different types of sex, bondage, piercing, it goes on and on. So they're saying this in an email, and it's very suspicious. What does it mean? But at the end of the day, it still is alleged. We don't have any concrete evidence as to what it is pertaining to.
And unfortunately, again, I can't force the Podestas to make a comment on this. I can't call up John or Tony Podesta and say, hey, why are you talking about spirit cookings? Why are you appearing to be talking in code language in your emails? Why do you have strange artwork in your house? I mean, these are things that we just can't do. Now, I guess if the more people get involved, the more people start talking about it, maybe we can force the issue. But now we're seeing stories breaking just saying that fake news is covering this, or stories breaking saying that child pedophilia isn't a crime, but just a disorder. Margaret, what do you think?
Look, so when you tweeted this out this morning that we were going to be talking about this, Twitter opened up. It literally, I had to shut my phone off at a certain point because I had to focus on nightly news.
You literally, if you want to pick up Twitter followers, just hashtag Pizzagate.
Hashtag Pizzagate.
You'll get 100.
And we are actively, I want to say this to our audience, we have a heart for the truth. I know these guys up here, we really want to get to the bottom of this, and we want to bring you the right information. Here's the problem. So let's just take James Elefantis for a moment, the owner of Ping Pong Pizza, Comet Pizza, and his partner, alleged David Brock, the relationship between the two. David Brock is knee-deep in the Clinton machine. He's a very high level political figure that his boyfriend, there's a lot of speculation about the business that he owns. Here's the problem. So James Elefantis has gone on the attack. There's an article in the New York Times where he insinuates that us, the fake media, are out to cyber bully him and destroy his life, his reputation, and his business. Here's the problem. So mainstream media news articles, this one, WUSA, which is not a mainstream media, it's inside the Beltway, they have gone on the attack. Anybody in the fake news trying to cyber bully him, he's managed to get Reddit, Facebook, even Twitter to censor and remove anything related to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, anything related to him as a person. And they're playing by these weird rules that says any personal information on websites like these, we are libelous. We're subject to a lawsuit if in fact we indict him in something that we cannot prove. That's the problem. Now, going back to what Joe Biggs said, this stuff is awful. Those emails, literally, when I first read these emails, you and I were on the air. It was during election week coverage, and I couldn't sleep at night thinking about the possibility of how sick these people are. We know that the Clintons are criminals. We have documented that well here. We had a presidential candidate say, look, when I'm in office, you're going to jail. We do know that. What we don't know is what these emails signify, what they mean. Do they have any involvement? It looks like, to me as a reporter, I'm speaking specifically on my own merit, not INFOWARS, not Alex Jones. For me personally, reading these WikiLeaks emails, it looks like some really fishy crap that doesn't sit well with anybody looking at them. And the fact that this Comet Ping Pong crap is in play right now, and this man's gone on the attack, we're very limited as to what we can say because a lot of this information is, of course, alleged. Therein lies the problem. It's very frustrating as reporters for us to bring this because, look, we freaking hate pedophiles, okay? I'm just going to say that right now. There is nothing more despicable to me as a person on the earth. It's the thought of somebody molesting or abusing children. It is physically sickening when you think about it. And the fact that these two Podesta guys, who frankly are weird as all get out. I'm sorry, but they are. And that's not a statement of fact. That's a personal opinion. The fact that we have, these weird, crappy, strange emails that we can't explain, and the fact that we've got, this possible pedophile code is very alarming. And unfortunately for us, and I know that we're not going to let this go past today. We continue to dig. We continue to look at this. Information is given to us as reporters all the time. People send emails like you wouldn't believe, and you got to verify them. And there lies the frustration for me as a person. But I will say this, that Elefantis character has gone on the attack for the fake news, and the fact that the New York Times is defending him, I have a serious problem with that. Everybody else has gotten on the bandwagon except for us. We're sticking out our necks. People, there have been alleged deaths over this kind of stuff, and yet we're still covering it because we want people to know what we know.
Well, how is a guy named Elefantis one of the top most influential people in America, and he's just a pizza pie store owner, supposedly?
That's actually a great point. He's got all this international money. He seems to have tons of political leverage. A pizza shop owner. It's not. I'm not saying it's not possible. Obviously, it could be possible, but I don't know. Point to one other instance.
Is Papa John's one of the most influential people? That guy.
Papa John's is a major pizza chain. I don't see Papa John's holding any. Having
women or little girls taped down to a desk.
Which he
but
claims
look at
is
this
innocent.
though. New York Times has an article: pedophilia, a disorder, not a crime.
And now we're seeing these articles come out more and more.
And you have people like Salon who cover these stories where they actually have pedophiles come on and talk about, holding some little girl and saying, oh, I looked at her, but I never touched her, or I would never do that. I just fantasize about it. I'm sorry, the fact that you're fantasizing about that isn't right in any kind of way. That's not normal. It's not a disorder. That is a crime. That's horrible.
And remember, we've got Joe Biden who fondles children
allegedly
on the camera. No. That's not alleged. We have footage.
Because listen,
now, hold on a second. You have footage of Joe Biden groping children on tape. Okay, they come to the White House and he touches and rubs them and whispers in their ear. That's not alleged.
Look,
that happened. I'm not saying he did anything illegal. I'm saying that happened. And then he also gets a bracelet with a pizza bead on it. Allegedly from Barack Obama. More weird stuff. And then, of course, as we said, all this major political money going through Comet, Ping Pong, and Pizza. But I would think if I was some sort of a big, tough rogue agent who was really thirsty for justice in either the Washington police, here's the footage, either in the Washington, D.C. police, either in the FBI, anywhere, why wouldn't you be gung-ho going in?
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
That is some disturbing crap.
I guess you've never seen that?
No, I've seen it. I want to be careful to say alleged because I understand the implication of saying something as a reporter when it's not. Oh, gosh.
I understand.
It gets me a little. I'm sorry.
Well, there's a lot of things that can kind of be, debunked as well. Yeah. The whole walnut sauce thing. That's an actual Ligurian sauce that people use. It's a cultural thing. A lot of people do make walnut sauce and use it for pastas. So that's not really out of the ordinary. The whole thing about can't wait to go to your hot dog stand in Hawaii. Well, I actually got on and I looked up hot dog stands in Hawaii, and there's quite a few of them throughout Hawaii. They do exist. And you have Tony Podesta, John Podesta's brother, who has these statues and this artwork that resembles Jeffrey Dahmer, the way he left his people posed. There's weird things that are going on.
And not to mention his favorite artist depicts little girls being hit in
Biljana
a way. It's disgusting. It's the most despicable stuff. Why you would ever have that in your house is mind-boggling. Depicting children being abused for pleasure. That's what these art pieces are.
And everybody is, sitting here because they want to, they want to be part of this. They want to be part of the justice revolution via We the People, and they want this Pizzagate to be huge. But let's keep in mind, as Pizzagate is ongoing, who knows what sort of investigations are being done. I don't know if the FBI is investigating or not. I don't know if the Washington Police Department is investigating or not. I don't know. James Elefantis hasn't made any statement as far as that concerned.
Well, there was a girl who codenamed Molly on Twitter, whose account was taken down the other day after she started posting these
And Reddit
files.
was taken down, too.
Well, she tweeted out today, and I don't know if this is real again. She could have created another one, but we'll say that it's maybe her. Just spoke to the FBI about Pizzagate, and they all kind of brush it off and
they
said
didn't
it wasn't
want to talk
something
about
important. But what do we do know, though, actually? I mean, let's talk about things that really do exist within pedophilia rings and all that. I mean, hot dog in their lingo means boy. Pizza means girl. Cheese means little girl. Pasta means little boy. Ice cream means male prostitute. Walnut means person of color. Map means, I can't say that word. And sauce is orgy.
I've seen different, perhaps, meanings of walnut, too, which we don't need to get into. But here's the thing. Whether or not this code is code for pedophilia, again, this is all alleged. But we actually know. I mean, you've got Jimmy Savile. You've got Dennis Hastert. You mentioned Anthony Weiner earlier. I mean, you've already got major political influencers that have been brought down involved with sex acts, sexual deviance.
For those of you, and I literally, following this man's crimes, he was actually, he wasn't even convicted of the crimes he was committed of. This image, by the way, is a web that somebody made on the internet that links it all. Go ahead, Margaret. Oh gosh, and just getting on and I know we're running out of time here, but there are, to your point, there are insanely sick, powerful people in this country. Dennis Hastert being a prime classic example of that, getting on, the defense of marriage as Speaker of the House, and it turns out he was molesting little boys for decades, trying to pay them off as adults. We know that this is happening. It's incredibly frustrating to not be able to. I want us to make a dent in this, guys. I really do, and that's where my frustration comes in with the stuff, because we don't. The information that's coming out, we're needing really concrete things to go on. And if people have anything, by all means, send them on Twitter. We don't care if we're censored, Frank. Send them if you've got anything that's breaking or that you think could matter in this, because literally that's what it's going to take to put this over the edge and make somebody in law enforcement take a serious look at the stuff prior to just going, oh, it's fake news, trying to smear political opponents. That is not what's going on here. Dennis Hastert was a Republican, by the way. He was not a Democrat. He's one of the sickest I'm sorry, guys.
Served under the Clinton and the Bush administrations. And again, it's just weird. I mean, this is in D.C. We know that there's tunnels in this area. The people who own a lot of these buildings on this block can be tied together with political contributions. So again, it's all very strange.
One of the emails, which is definitely odd. Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese and on pasta? I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of like code talk. I mean,
it's code talk.
That's not a normal thing. Like you don't text or email your buddy, hey, you want some Domino's on your hamburger or something like that. Like, what the hell is that? Like, that's something you've come up with and you're using to get around something.
Alleged pedophile code. That's what that is.
It does seem, though. And you mentioned we came in because so many people were wanting us to draw more attention to this. So many people were wanting us to break news on this. When in reality, folks, I mean, it's pretty much been you out there who enjoy getting your hands dirty in this type of research that have been breaking most of this stuff, doing most of this. But it does seem it's kind of started to go mainstream. RT out of Germany, I believe it was today. I had to have this one translated here. Pizzagate holds the net in hand. Presumptions about Washington's pedophile ring in the Clinton environment. It's been alleged for years, folks, that there is a ring of pedophiles in Washington, D.C., that there is a ring of pedophiles that have been blackmailed into positions of power and then maintained those people via blackmail. This is something that's very serious that's been alleged. So could this be the tip of the spear? Could this be the string that pulls it all down? I don't know. Right now, we can only tell you what we know. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Margaret. We'll be right back with more.
Alex Jones here with a very important news update to anybody out there that wants to be prepared. But it goes beyond being prepared. Our bodies absolutely must have the good halogen iodine or we will die. And you look at all of the thyroid problems and all the people that don't have energy and that have all sorts of hormone problems. And from my research, and a lot of just mainline research, it leads back to iodine over and over and over again. It's as important as vitamin C. If you don't get iodine, you die. But most people are just deficient, so they're low energy, they're sick, You got to have iodine in your body so that your body can produce the hormones you need. It is the base to so many things. And since I got into iodine 4 years ago, we've helped change the entire paradigm by developing and bringing to the public deep earth crystals from 7 to 12,000 feet of the purest iodine available. Other iodine comes from the ocean or from other byproducts of chemical facilities and is tainted. It's bound. It's not absorbable. I tried it. And I had incredible effects even with dirty iodine because the body needs it. When you don't have iodine, it absorbs the chlorine, the fluoride, and all these other bad halogens. It's such a game changer if you'll just research iodine for yourself. It's a fact that the federal government in the Midwest back in the 20s mandated a grungier form of iodine to the salt because people had low IQs, they had huge goiters, major problems directly connected to it. There are some studies that show a 15-point increase. Others show even higher. But it really is crazy to realize that this is something that is so deficient in our food chain, so deficient in our played-out fields where different crops are being grown, but the federal government isn't educating people and telling them about it. That's why for a limited time, I want to encourage everyone to go to InfoWarsLife.com and get 20% off on the best nascent iodine out there from our research, truly pure Survival Shield X2. Again, that's Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Thank you for joining us in this brief news update. Do yourself and your family a favor and check out the importance of iodine for yourself. I think you're going to be blown away. And whatever you do, support the broadcast and get a bottle of Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2. Also consult your physician because if you've been deficient in it or have other issues, it can have some dramatic effects. As for me and most folks I talk to, it's been a game changer in the positive column, but still consult your physician because iodine is no joke. It's a key building block of the body. And if you haven't had it for a long time and suddenly have it, some folks say they've experienced things like a detoxing effect and things like that. You've got to have vitamin C. You've got to have iodine to live. You've got to have water to live. Iodine is key. You must have it, but consult your physician first before you get powerful Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2 at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll free. We can answer your questions, 888-253-3139. There is an information warfare happening right now. It's a fight for our minds. And InfoWars.com is on the front lines. Download our free multimedia app at InfoWars.com/app. It's free. It's on Droid. It's on Apple. You name it. InfoWars.com/app. Take action.
Earlier this week, we saw a lot of stories about how family members were getting uninvited to Thanksgiving dinners. And, of course, that's a favorite tactic of the authoritarian left. Shut down discussion. Don't have any discussion of the principles. And, of course, how better to do that than to keep people from being able to have people in your family come and talk about Thanksgiving or just share some time with you, talk about politics. No. Talk about any of that. Just shut it down. And now that we're into the Christmas season, we're going to be seeing a lot of that. We've already seen a story earlier this week about the U.S. Army shutting down a small band that was basically playing guitar and banjo, mandolin. So no, you can't do jingle bells on a local radio show because your association came together via the Army, so you can't play that kind of music anymore. You have to understand, this is a new thing. This is something that we've seen gradually increasing over a long period of time. Understand that the censorship of the left on the First Amendment began first not against political free speech, but it began with the attack on the free exercise of religion. And that's what the First Amendment guarantees. It's a natural human right that we have to freely exercise our religion. And yet we have seen them say that any free exercise of religion is establishment. So I want to take a quick look at this and distinguish between establishment and the free exercise of religion. Because usually when we see this talked about, like on Fox News, Bill O'Reilly talks about the war on Christmas. Megyn Kelly tells us that Santa Claus is a white guy. That's the level of engagement that we see typically there. And they miss the broad themes of both the Constitution and Christianity. So I want to go back and talk about what establishment really is. Let's go back to history, to the founding of this country, to 1776, and what this was all about. Of course, prior to 1776, the people who came to this country came here because they wanted to avoid a theocracy, the combination of religion and
state. And of course, that was done throughout Europe, not because the people were highly religious, but because they used both the religion and the king to keep people in line. And so they rebelled against that. They had prohibitions in Europe about attending church services that were not the official state service. You were required to financially support the official state. You were required to go to the services, not just be prohibited from attending the services that you wanted to attend, but you were also mandated to attend the church services of the official state church. And when they came to the United States and the various colonies that were set up that eventually became states, they typically were centered around religious affiliation. So you'd have different states supporting different Christian denominations. That was true establishment. Now, most of them removed the prohibition of not attending an unofficial state church, but they still required, in virtually all cases that you financially support the established state church, they would require that you attend those services. That is the establishment. And if you think that that went away when the Bill of Rights was passed in 1799, you're wrong. I want to challenge that assumption with historical facts. As Michael McConnell noted in the William and Mary Law Review, he said, establishment survived in New England well into the 19th century. Remember, the Bill of Rights was passed 1791. He says disestablishment came to Connecticut in 1818, but not until 1833 in Massachusetts. New Hampshire enacted a Toleration Act in 1818, but authorization for towns to financially support Protestant ministers remained on the books unenforced for the rest of the century. So even into the 20th century, they were still allowing churches to be supported by the town government. Think about that. After the Bill of Rights was passed in 1791, 27 years later, they still had an official state church in Connecticut. 28 years later, they still had an official state church in New Hampshire. And 42 years later, they still had an official state church in Massachusetts. Was that a good idea? No, it's a horrible idea. None of us wants a theocracy. Baptists don't want to be forced to go to a Methodist church or to financially support a Methodist church. And even Muslims, Sunni Muslims don't want to be forced to participate in a Wahhabist, Saudi Arabia-style theocracy, a Sharia law. That's why so many of us are so concerned about Sharia law, because Sharia law is a theocracy. And if you understand Islam, at the heart of Islam is a theocratic urge. But when we look at the free exercise of religion, it means that you don't become a creature of the state. You're not owned by the state simply because you have a job with the state. Think about it in terms of the other part of the First Amendment, your political free speech. Do you lose the ability to vote or to speak freely on politics simply because you work for the government or you wear a uniform? No, you don't do it in an official capacity, and the Army has its own regulations, whether that's good or bad, about what soldiers can say. I don't think they should have a gag order placed on them. But that is a rule that's done by the Army. That is not something that is constitutional. When Thomas Jefferson spoke about a wall of separation between church and state, he was writing to reassure preachers in Baptist Rhode Island that he was not going to interfere with their free exercise of religion. Instead, what we see now is that the government has perverted that and inverted that intention. He was saying there's going to be a wall around the government that is going to separate it from you. And now what we see is the federal government, who constitutionally cannot be involved in any way, shape, or form in religion, putting a wall around us, around individuals, and telling us what we can and cannot do, mostly falling on people who work for the government, but also doing this through the schools. So we have the government, the schools, the media, who really have established a religion. William F. Buckley said atheists have their gods, and they're fiercely worshipped. And we can see this in Russia, as the people there want to replace a street that is called Godless Street. It was named that by the communists, who are proudly atheists, and they named not one but two streets in that small town, Godless Street. And now these people are petitioning to change that street name to Donald Trump. And so we understand that there is a state religion pushed by the government, by the schools, by the media. That is a religion of secular humanism. It is proudly atheist, and they try to suppress the free exercise of religion. We've seen the same type of inversion, of course, with the FISA bill, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that was done in the late 70s after they had looked at the abuses of the CIA and the NSA, the abuses against the Fourth Amendment, spying on Americans without warrant. And they said, you're not going to do that. So they created the FISA Act. What did they do over the remaining 40 years? They used the FISA Act as a rubber stamp for them to violate the Fourth Amendment. So we have to constantly be vigilant against these usurpations of power, against the inversion of the Constitution, against the use of their position of power in ways that are total abuse of the authority given to them by the Constitution. And that's what we're going to be seeing as we move towards the Christmas season. I just want to say that, we should be talking about the freedom to say Merry Christmas. And when we see Fox News and we see Donald Trump pull this up and they say Merry Christmas, and we have the freedom to say that's not what the free exercise of religion is, but it's a start. And I think that we all need to be able to do not only that, but we need to challenge the fundamental assumptions of the government. And I'll say one more thing before we run out of time here, and that is the impositions on the free exercise of not only religious but political speech that were imposed by the gag rules put in effect by Johnson when he was not yet president. Lyndon Johnson put in the Johnson Act. The IRS said, we're going to take away your tax exemption as a church. We're going to take away and impute back to the people who have contributed to this church all of that money. In retrospect, we're going to impute that back to them, take away their deduction, create a massive headache for them, take away your funding if you talk about politics. They had no authority to do that. And I think it's very important, and this is what we need to do. We don't need to wait for somebody to give us permission to exercise our religion. That is a fundamental right that is protected in the Constitution, and we don't need a president, we don't need a governor, we don't need a congressman to give us that authorization. And when people like bureaucracies like the IRS take that away from us, we need to stand up in defiance, as many pastors have on Pastor Freedom Sunday, and say, here's a recording of my sermon where I talk about politics, exercising both parts of the First Amendment, the free exercise of religion and my political free speech. Here it is, IRS. Take away my tax deduction if you dare. They called their bluff. The IRS has never come after any of these pastors. It grew from a handful of defiant pastors now to thousands who do that every year. That is the essence of how we take back our freedoms, with a massive grassroots rebellion against the tyrants. INFOWARS.com on our nightly news. I'm David Knight, wishing you a Merry Christmas. Be sure to exercise your religion freely and in their face.
This is the answer for your children to totally absorb the multivitamins, the minerals, the amino acids, everything at once. Unveil Vitamin Mineral Fusion Advanced Multivitamin Formula, 30 servings, fruit punch flavored dietary supplement. It is simply amazing. InfoWarsLife.com.
There's a million different products like this out there that they're good in different ways. But this takes all of the vitamins, all the essential amino acids, all of the essential compounds and minerals that you need, puts it into something that's great tasting as opposed to like clumpy, gross stuff. And you can put it in your drink every morning. I put it in my protein shake. It is the platinum standard, in my view, of multivitamins in terms of an advanced multi-drink vitamin.
The cleanest, the purest, new stuff had to be invented. That's why it took this long to even bring us something this good.
Some companies are going to take a small amount of vitamins and make it, so there's so much filler, it looks like there's a lot. This is ultra concentrated. We're not playing games here. Okay,
well, that's my philosophy. That's your philosophy.
Yeah,
I want to, but again, there's some great stuff out there.
Yeah,
and there's other,
No, of course, definitely.
There's other powders I promote at InfoWarsHealth.com. Yeah, they're excellent. There's some good stuff out there. This is just the very best we can bring you. And when you buy it, you support InfoWars, you support the reporters, you support yourself. Tell folks about some of these other things that are in this and why this is just this total, complete package for your body. Because, again, we didn't put the synthetic amino acids. We didn't put the synthetic vitamins. We put the plant-based, high-quality, clean, natural ingredients into this.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got your standard vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin E, the list goes on.
A huge amount of vitamin C, by the way. Tell folks about that.
1,000+% of your daily value, which is what you need. Because the, FDA guidelines, we all know about those. Zinc, magnesium, selenium, L-glutamine. Each one of these, you could go on for about 10 minutes about the benefits of these things. Alpha-lipoic acid, folic acid, calcium, and the list goes on. 34 other ones you can check out. Go to InfoWarsLife.com. The label's up there. You've got the entire ingredients list that you can neurotically examine for yourself. And just...
By the way, look on the other side, too, because we're showing people the minerals and things. Let's look at the vitamins right there, all it's got in there. I mean, it's amazing.
Top left.
Again, if you're radio listeners, Infowars.com/show. Vitamin A has 4,333% from beta-carotene and what's that other source? I just know that's all the best sources.
Retinol. So you've also got your vitamin D at 1,000 IU, which is a large dose, actually. And you know what? Some people could say, well, isn't this competing with your other products? Well, yeah, you know what? We could be like some people and just take all the stuff that we sell also at InfoWarsLife.com and not put any of it, but then it wouldn't be a balanced formula, and we're not going to do that. And it might actually hurt us in the long run to put all the best stuff in here, but that's just the way we got to do it, because we can't start thinking like that.
So get them today, InfoWarsLife.com, or call toll-free 888-253-3139. My name is Alex Jones. Most of you know me from my syndicated radio program and my documentary films, as well as InfoWars Nightly News. When I got on air 20 years ago, I had discovered the globalist program, their plan to take over the world, and my focus went from running 6 miles every other day, swimming 2-3 miles a couple times a week, and lifting weights, to focusing on fighting the globalists. I've gone from 279 pounds all the way down to 235 pounds, and the weight's going off even faster. And it wasn't just that my weight loss accelerated. My muscle mass increased. My stamina, my energy levels exploded. Super Male has the key concentrated natural compounds that my body needed to go to the next level. Today is the day to take the InfoWarsLife.com challenge and to secure your bottle of Super Male or Super Female Vitality. Check them out today at InfoWarsLife.com or give our crew a call at 888-253-3139.
Black Friday is now unofficially a global holiday phenomenon. The day after Thanksgiving that harkens the beginning of the month-long celebration of consumerism, regardless of the fact that most Americans can't even afford the holiday season. 62% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings, and 21% don't have savings at all.
Sales expected to reach $80 billion in the U.S.
We made it!
The average American spending close to $400 throughout the holiday weekend.
While the mega soul-sucking Walmart chains deliver Chinese goods to most of the depleted American population, while slave-wage Walmart employees are subsidized by our tax dollars, allowing the Scrooge Walton family to rip out the heart of America and crush small business. The irony is that Black Friday stems from a 19th century gold swindling conspiracy. And now, in the name of almighty consumerism, Americans are being swindled out of their last dimes, ethics, and common sense.
I'm a heavy consumer. And you know, I'm concerned about what my children consume. I'd like to consume the barrel of a 12-gauge shotgun right now, if I could. Thank you, because I'm in hell.
Black Friday is a complete scam based around the manifestly provable hoax that consumers are getting huge discounts on products that would normally be more expensive at any other time of year. In reality, stores enjoy higher profit margins during the holiday period because retailers artificially inflate prices of goods in the months before Black Friday in order to make the subsequent discounts look good in comparison. As the Wall Street Journal highlights, the idea of Black Friday discounts is a complete hoax, achieved via the process of price massaging throughout the rest of the year. The scam also relies on shoppers' impulse, buying another product that has a 98% markup value. So even if the first item represents a genuine discount, the vastly inflated price of the impulse purchase more than makes up for it. In many cases, the supposedly great deals that people will sacrifice endless hours of their time camping outside stores to take advantage of are already available online anyway and can be found for even cheaper in January. But hey, nothing says Christmas like braving the cold on Thanksgiving night to rip a vegetable steamer out of the hands of an innocent little kid.
What is behind the horrifying phenomenon of Black Friday and other extreme consumerist riots? What is behind it is the madness of a lost society, people that believe in hype, people that believe in mainstream media lies, folks that don't know that Black Friday is one of the worst days of the year to go out and find sales. These are the same type of crowds that believe in Obamacare and thought that it would really be a free ride, or who go and buy lottery tickets. That's their future business plan. That's their retirement plan. These are born suckers. And statistically, there are more and more of them.
Merry Christmas, zombies. John Bound for INFOWARS.com.
Do you think that Black Friday has a racist connotation?
Not really.
Honestly, yeah. Thinking about that, I never really thought about it in that way with racist connotations.
I can see how it could be definitely offensive to people. I don't know where my opinion stands on it.
As far as that goes, sorry, I'm just gonna...
I'm not familiar with the historical connotations of Black Friday. So I'm not sure if that question even applies or not. Like, it could not, but I just don't know.
I don't even know what the beginning of what is like the beginnings of Black Friday? Where does like the origin of it?
Well, no one really knows, but there are a lot of things people are alleging, and it's kind of like a Black Lives Matter concern with this, that it had something to do with slavery, and that they would sell their slaves at a discount in order to, get the plantations filled with workers for the harsh winter.
I think I did hear that before. But I mean, now they do it for discount items.
Every year, people they get a little bit offended by it, and so
really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that, dude.
Okay, the problem is who is being offended. Like, is it like the non-Black community or is it the Black community? Because if the Black community is offended, then I would be more for changing it than if like someone who wasn't Black was offended. Because they're the only ones who get to decide whether or not something has offensive connotations to them. Because they're the community that has lived through the historical implications.
Do you think we should rename Black Friday?
No.
No?
No.
Why is that? Have you checked your privilege?
Well, actually, I'm going to reverse that statement. Now that I actually thought it through, I could see where racism would come up.
There should definitely be a new name for it. I'm not sure, but...
Any ideas? Something that would be more color neutral, or...
I mean, I wouldn't go color then, since that's still like race implied, I guess.
No, if people agree with that opinion, then yeah, of course it's not right. But what would they change it to? Do you have any ideas?
African American Friday.
Okay, that's a good potential.
You gotta have something that has a ring to it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't think of anything that has a ring to it. At least they didn't use the N-word.
The annual Walmart brawl. How about that?
I mean, why would anybody go? It sounds like an awful way to spend a day.
Yeah. Getting beat up. Maybe they call it Black Friday because you have to be like a black belt in karate to,
That could be it.
Discount day. Don't kill each other day, please.
That's not for me to decide. That's for the community to decide what is and isn't offensive to them and what's a suitable replacement.
Racist or not racist?
Not racist.
I think people would have to speak up. And if people were to say something, if it was something that was heard by the population, I think people would sympathize with it if it was something that they felt was racist.
Mm-hmm. So even if it's not necessarily true, though, I see a lot on college campuses right now, a lot of things are happening because of the way people feel, because they're offended, because it upsets them with the way they feel, even though it might not necessarily be truth or no evidence to it.
If someone is generally finds something like offensive, then we should find like the best way to like accommodate everyone, and the way that we act with each other and the way that we speak, because they go kind of hand in hand, I think. So yeah, if they want something to change, then I think it's for the better.
If it makes people feel better, go for it.
You think this is a smart direction we're going in?
Hopefully it is. It's smart.
Feelings over facts?
I hope. Well, we should do facts over feelings first, and I hope it is a fact, because we're in a college age. If they don't know what they're talking about, then
Lower prices and don't kill each other. Everything must go.
As long as it's racist.
The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding and making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families, and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the info war to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv. But there was an article last Friday in Hollywood Reporter that is so important, where Steve Bannon, the chief strategist for President-elect Trump, lays it out that globalism was designed to make us poor and set up this elite system for rich families to control everything, and that America is going to absolutely now lead the world out of this with incredible prosperity, and they have the actuaries and the numbers with cutting taxes on working class people that will bring back Americana under the Republican Party. But he says we've got to purge the Republicans of the establishment people, and we've got to deliver to the people, and we will get a majority vote from whites, Hispanics, blacks, you name it. Because it'll be based on having a sovereign, prosperous nation, not one where the government takes the wealth from the middle class and then redistributes it to a growing, dumbed-down, giant underpopulation made up of every race of human. If you want human liberty, if you want freedom, if you want self-determination, if you want to be able to control at least a small part of your own destiny, we are brothers, we are sisters in arms together in the great quest for free association, free will, and the right for self-determination. I salute you, and again, thank you for taking the info war, which you are the heart of, to the next level, and to encourage you to continue right through this Thanksgiving, to share the information with your friends and family, to share the articles, the videos, the URLs, the podcast, and to support the broadcast by getting the amazing pro-Second Amendment apparel, the pro-Trump apparel, the pro-nationalism apparel, the non-GMO heirloom seeds, the high-quality water filtration systems, the amazing supplements and nutraceuticals, which are running 30 to 50% off right through this week, with every day having a loss leader special at InfoWarsStore.com. Check it out today, and please continue to support this operation.
Well, folks, in the last week, we have now seen 5 police officers get shot in the line of duty, multiple fatally. The most recent in Detroit. Cops fear copycat attacks across the U.S. after a 5th officer is shot in 3 days. Colin Rose, 29, was shot just a few blocks from Wayne State University at about 6:45 p.m. on Tuesday after D'Angelo Davis, the suspect of person of interest in the shooting, has been taken into custody. So again, the attacks on police are stepping up. Regardless of where you feel on this issue, that is a fact. This is an illustration of the divide of this country and the fomenting of a civil war, whether it be between black and white people, cops and citizens. This is what the establishment wants, to divide us so that it can conquer us. And again, I say, you know, why there could be a Blue Lives Matter protest going on right now. We don't see those happening, but it's reaching a point now, and I don't see the mainstream media or the Obama administration batting an eye at any of these police shootings. I mean, it's really shocking, folks. Whenever a cop shoots a civilian, especially if that civilian is black, they make a huge deal out of it. Whether it's justified or not, you can have that debate. We let the justice system work that out. That is an issue to many people. But we don't get near the coverage when it's a police officer, and especially in the instance where they say, guns are the problem. We need to stop guns. That's the fault of all these shootings. Well, I don't see any legislation being passed on guns when police are shot. So that's an interesting dynamic there. Now, another more illustration of the divide in this country. A man in Queens has been cuffed for trying to push somebody onto the Harlem tracks, and he allegedly yelled, "I hate white people," before he tried to shove this man onto the tracks. And again, if you put this in the opposite spectrum and it was a white man who said, "I hate black people," and pushed him onto a train, it would be the biggest story on CNN tonight. I would be shocked if CNN even mentions that story. Pair charged in explosive device at elementary school plan to shoot cops and start a race war. A convicted felon who claims he wanted to shoot cops is behind bars in connection with the explosive device planted outside of a Trussville elementary school. Man, I promise, though, at the end of this segment, I will have some good news. But apparently, these two wanted to start a race war. I pray to God. And we're already, look, you know what? Sane people are over the whole race thing, okay? Sane people don't look at the other person and judge them based on their skin, okay? It just doesn't happen. And unfortunately, there is a fringe element of our society that is still racist. And you will probably never be able to do anything about these people. But fomenting these tensions is not helping. And that, to me, is what the mainstream media and even the Obama administration has done. And I think we're seeing the fruits of some of those efforts, if you will. Now, moving on, Facebook is trying to create censorship. We know about this. This has been big stories with fake news. But now, in order to get back into the Chinese market, Facebook is going to go ahead and cater to the Chinese style of censorship. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's chief executive, has cultivated a relationship with Chinese leaders and is now going to work with them to, censor his Facebook however it is the Chinese want. And of course, we know now, and of course, Alex Jones has been saying this for a while, but now they are admitting it. They want Chinese-style censorship on the internet. Now, the handover of the internet happened here just over a month ago. We are yet really to see any big changes. I think that's because, there's not much that they can do or they want to tell us. But if this censorship starts to get brought in and the American people don't have a say, then it will be an issue. But this is Mark Zuckerberg now censoring Facebook in China in order to get back into the Chinese markets. And now, of course, you have Merkel, who is warning against fake news driving populist gains. So this is what they're going to do to stop the populist movement, folks. They want to stop the populist movement. See, you're not allowed to have a movement. We, the people of planet Earth, we, the populism movement, we're not allowed to have our movement. See, Obama says fake news is spurring the populist movement. Merkel says fake news is spurring the populist movement. So what are they going to do? Because they can't control your mind anymore. Their bought and paid for media failed. Their politicians and their propaganda failed. So what are they going to do? They're going to use Mark Zuckerberg and people of his ilk to censor the internet. And then they're going to have their government operatives come out and say, well, we need to stop fake news because, and I can't even believe she says that she's admitting it. Populism is rising. That's us. That's you. That's we, the people. That's civilians. That's citizens empowering themselves. So what are they going to do? They're just going to say anything that goes against the establishment's narrative, anything that is populism taking over corruption, they're just going to say it's fake, and they're going to try to squander it, and they're even going to admit it. Merkel warns against fake news driving populist gains. So that's right, folks. Any real movement of we the people, any grassroots organic movement, it's just fake. It's just fake. We need to squander it because it's fake. It's like them trying to tell you that we got this election wrong because we were given misinformation. No, the exact opposite happened. Your misinformation failed. We got this election right. Get over it. Now, of course, they're going to try to spin this somehow. Here's a story out of the LA Times. GQ and other lifestyle magazines grapple with flubbed Trump coverage. Ha! So we're going to talk about lifestyle magazines. Now, there's the image. Let's face it, Donald Trump is about to lose. Wrong. We're talking about lifestyle magazines. Okay, so a lifestyle magazine gets the election wrong. That's okay, right? It's a lifestyle magazine. No big whoop. But how about the fact that every major television news network also got it wrong? Can you imagine the hysteria? Of course, we witnessed it on air. You've seen the video compilations. But what are they going to do, folks? Everybody knows they got it wrong. How are they going to recover? Fake news, fake news, fake news. That's how they're going to recover. They can't admit that they're the fake news. They can't admit that they failed and they got it wrong. They have to just say that, well, everybody else got it wrong because of fake news. Unbelievable that we're actually witnessing this. Now, Megyn Kelly has released a book. I'm not even going to say the title because I don't want to give it any publicity at all, but it's failing miserably. And because of its miserable failure, Amazon is now squashing Trump trolls' attacks on Megyn Kelly book. How do you even know it's Trump trolls? How about it's just people that don't like her book or don't like her? But they just want to demonize Trump and his supporters any way they can. So they had to throw this one in there for the USA Today. But it's funny. This book is failing so miserably for Megyn Kelly. Of course it is, Megyn. Maybe if you weren't such a, you know what? I'm not going to waste time insulting Megyn Kelly. The fact is her book is failing. And here's what I think, to be honest with you. Because now she's going around on all these major TV networks talking about her book, even going on CNN multiple times talking about her book. I think, and also, let's also remember that Hillary Clinton's book failed too. So Hillary Clinton's book was a miserable failure. Megyn Kelly's book, not as miserable as Hillary's, but still failing. And I think the truth is she's just really ticked off that Michael Savage trounced her book so badly without a tenth of the publicity that she got. So sorry, Megyn, you're losing and real journalism is winning. 9/11 mastermind Al-Qaeda favors immigration to defeat USA. Now, regardless of what you think about this headline, the lesson to be learned here is this. Are we going to have an open border or are we going to try to stop terrorism? If there is really this threat of terrorism, why is our border wide open, folks? This is common sense. This is standard logic. Why can't Americans face this down? Why is the border wide open, yet terrorist attacks are apparently a threat? We'll get terrorists arrested in New York, but the border's wide open. And now Al-Qaeda admits, of course they favor the immigration program. Of course they favor the refugee program. That's how they get in here. The good news to close the news tonight, CDC says U.S. abortion rate falls to lowest level in decades. That's good news, folks. We don't need to make laws to make abortion illegal. Let's just make it the wrong thing to do in the hearts and minds of Americans. Make sure that you go to InfoWarsStore.com this weekend, folks. Black Friday specials are running right now. The best deals on your favorite products, Brain Force, Nascent Iodine, storable food. We've got it all at InfoWarsStore.com. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Owen Shroyer signing off for the InfoWars Nightly News.
In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.